how do you think the chances of Tuch and Thompson are for making the team? And this is, I want to do, we've done this before. You are Bill Guerin. What do you think the chances are? And then you specifically, Walt, what do you think the chances are?
Yeah, that's definitely the tough thing, like trying to put myself into Bill Guerin's shoes because he's kind of a wild card. Like he has
Yeah,
guys he loves that'll be there no matter what. So
he's a
I,
goof.
I do think yeah. I just think, based on how the Four Nations ended, I think there's two ways you could go. You could blame like the injuries Team USA had as a reason why they didn't win. Like Quinn Hughes didn't play that whole tournament. Matthew Tkachuk went out in the gold medal game. So he's like, oh yeah, the problem definitely wasn't Brock Nelson, Trocheck, the bottom line. So, or you could say those guys weren't good enough and we need more talent to beat this Canada team. So I do think if he does take that route, I just think, having Tage, even if he's like your fourth line center, I was like just putting together like my mock roster this morning actually, and I put together like a Jason Robertson, Tage Thompson, Cutter Gauthier fourth line, which isn't really like a checking line per se, but it's a line that'll just generate just a goofy amount of offense. Like they'll have the puck in the offensive zone like their entire shifts, and they're big enough guys where they can battle. I just think if you're Team USA, I would personally take the route where all four lines can score a goal if you need a goal. Do I think Bill Guerin will take that route? Maybe not. And that kind of makes me concerned for someone like Tage's chances.
But that's the thing. Like, I think Tage can do both. He can either play heavy or be on
Yeah,
that four lines. And like
he
the thing
can,
with,
but will he think he could do both though? Like, will Guerin think he could do both?
I hope, at least I hope so. I mean, Tage is on a 5-game goal streak. I think he's played a little bit more physical this year too. Nothing crazy, and he's not dropping the gloves or anything. But I think he's been using his body in the way that I think that Bill Guerin would appreciate if he was going to put him in his bottom six. But at the same time, it is a best on best international tournament. You're not necessarily building a fourth line to be like your shutdown line like teams do, like clubs do, because you just have so much overwhelming skill. You're probably going to, even in those, minute left, defensive zone draw, you're still probably going to be playing one of your top two lines because those guys are just good enough that they're just simply good enough that they'll play in those situations. So it is the thought process of I do understand where you're coming from, where you say 4 scoring lines versus, you know, 3 scoring lines and a checking line or something like that. I just really hope whoever gets left home, I hope they tweet stuff like Phil Kessel. That's all I'm saying. Oh, it feels like
Yeah.
it should be somewhere right now. Oh, that's
Well, it
so
just
good.
seems at this point though, with like the emergence of a guy like Cutter Gauthier, with someone like Caulfield having a great year, with guys like Schmaltz and
Yeah.
Keller having great years, even with a guy like Matthew Nyes, who is younger but also a bigger guy, I just feel like this
Point.
year, especially, it would be even more insane to, have like a Brock Nelson on this team, to have a Trocheck on this team. I just think there's just way too many options now to kind of go back to what we saw in the Four Nations and Canada too. Like just talking about the younger guys there, like they could potentially be adding like Schaefer, Celebrini, maybe even Bedard too. Like
Yeah.
they're probably more skilled than they were in the Four Nations, a tournament where they beat the U.S. teams. So if Canada's potentially bringing even more skill, I don't think the answer for the U.S. is to try to run things back to what they did in the Four Nations.
Okay. Final 1 through 10. 1 being he ain't going. 10 being lock. What do you got for Tuch and Thompson making the team?
I think Tuch for me is a 3 or 2.5. I'd
I was gonna
say.
say I'm at 2, but yeah,
Yeah, I'd say 2.5. I
which
think,
sucks.
yeah, he has the vibe of a guy Garen will like. I just don't think he has
Yeah.
enough ties to him, and there's just so much depth on the wing on this U.S.
Yeah,
team
that's a
that
problem.
it's tough to envision a role for him. So
I don't think it's Tuck's fault. I think it's just too good of depth
there's
in
so
the
many
U.S. team.
wingers.
Yeah,
That the U.S. has so many good wingers now. It's
yeah.
crazy.
Okay, and Thompson?
For him, I think I'm gonna go with a. I'll go 6.5. I do think I do think the world's him scoring that golden goal was huge.
Mhm.
I do think him being on like some USA hockey. I just think he was on like an Instagram post when they had like the players meeting in the summer of him with like the US flag like draped around him. Like I don't think you would post that if that's a guy that has no chance of making this team. and
Mhm.
I do think he's been playing much better down the stretch. Had a pretty good game in front of Bill Guerin today.
Mhm.
So, and also, yeah, throwing in the fact that Canada is probably going to bring a more skilled team this time around with the same amount of checking that they had last time. It'll just be very hard team to beat. Because like you have guys like we saw today with Jarvis, that guy has skill and can check.
Mhm.
So
He's a
I
good
think
player.
hopefully, I'm begging Bill Guerin to realize that you got to beat this Canada team with skill.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping he realizes that, and if he does realize that, I think Tage has a good chance of being on that roster.
I think it's well, it's who knows if they even play, but it's like a skill, but like you are the more physical team, but you still have enough skill to keep up with them because you have the Kachuk
Yeah,
brothers and stuff like that. And yeah, like those guys aren't
and
going to be
Eichel
as
Matthews are units too. Like those are
yeah.
big centers.
Yeah, so, like, it's not necessarily, like, sheer skill like McDavid, McKinnon stuff, but being, like,
Yeah,
bigger, but still good enough to keep up skill-wise.